For July the 28th, 2017, we talk about AI that optimizes games, Kingsway, and we ask you which games helped you emotionally. Welcome to Level 205. My name is Kole Ross.
I'm Dennis Furia.
I'm David Moneysmith.
I'm Ben Merkel.
And you're listening to The Level. It's a podcast for people who love video games. Welcome back, all of you. We had what I acknowledged as the most rare combination last week.
I heard about that, yeah.
Yeah. I didn't go and check, but I'm pretty sure. If Ben is not here, I know that it is a very rare combination. Ben is usually a pretty big constant in that.
I get what's the word for being? Oh yeah, punctual. I don't know. Yeah, I have a good attendance record.
The attendance award.
Yeah, yeah.
I think Kole actually wins that award, but
I haven't been here the whole time. You guys have done like bonus levels and stuff without me.
I think we've done a single bonus level without you.
No, you guys have like the Dark Souls one and the Jolly did the Leviathan one.
Oh, okay.
There've been a couple.
Yeah. Primarily, all of the like game club bonus level ones outside of Leviathan have been all of us. But yeah, speaking of Jala, this is the weekend of Jolade. So go to twitch.tv/Jalachan in order to check that out and help support her and her GoFundMe. I haven't checked it, but it was pretty close to funding the last time I checked it.
It is overfunding now.
Yeah.
And don't want to let that deter you from giving, not that it would.
Right.
But it's just incredible. I know she would be espousing thanks if she were here in person, so I'll do it for her. This community is awesome, and we, as well as several other communities that have just been touched by Jala, have come out in force. So I can't wait to put an exclamation point on that with the stream.
Yes, it is. It is a wonderful thing to see.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So welcome back, those of you who were not here last time, by which I mean and Dennis. Yeah. And also welcome back, David.
As you do.
Yeah. Cool. So I'm trying to think of other business. What am I looking at here? I went to a concert last week. That was fun.
Oh, who was it?
I went up to Columbus to see Ockerville River.
Nice.
A band that I've talked about quite a bit. It was a really fun show. It was they took requests, and not just like you shouted up, and like they arranged them on Facebook, and so Will Chef, the lead singer guy, he before the song, he would say, "Oh, this is for so and so," and then they would go and do it. And it was like a bunch of really like odd, rare stuff, like B-sides and stuff that was only on singles and things like that. It was really, really good. It was like a small, intimate kind of show.
That's pretty impressive too, that they could play like any of these on command too.
Yeah, I think they prepared them in advance.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Anyone that recommended Freebird got politely escorted off the premise.
Yeah. They also prepared the trapdoors in advance.
There you go.
But no,
I didn't know this was assigned seating. Oh no, trust me.
You have a place of honor. A place of honor. Yeah.
I feel like this is a sign of getting older, but I've been to a concert before where the band has forgotten their own songs that they've written in the past.
Oh, I've had that happen.
It's like their victory lap tour, like 20 years after they made the album. But yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't go to a lot of concerts, but it was very nice. That was my big thing this past time.
So for people who are fans of like the musics, what is the general stance on like the shipper thesis for bands? Like if you replace all of a band's members, is it still the same band? The band.
An excellent philosophical question. Yeah.
I feel like Trans-Siberian Orchestra would say yes. Because they're technically like an East Coast West Coast deal, and
they franchise, so like Menudo.
Yeah.
Huh. I mean, so like Ockerville River, it's mostly just it's like the only constant has been the one dude. There's been the lead singer songwriter guy, but he was pretty
George
much
Ockerville.
Yeah. George Ockerville of the Rockville Ockervilles. Yeah. No. Yeah. I think that personnel can come and go, and they all bring their own stuff to it. Yeah. No, that's fine.
It's like a person's body. Like it's 7 years from now, it won't have any of the same cells, but still kind of the same person. It just grows and changes.
Yeah. Sells out, man.
And sells out, just like human bodies. They sell out.
Yeah. The cells, they go out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cells go out. Yeah.
See, I do have to say, though, if I ever got any control over the canon of Star Trek, the first thing I would do would be to establish as canon that the transporter actually just kills you in one location and replicates you somewhere else.
I mean, that's absolutely canon, isn't it? Like that's.
I believe they argue that it just like flings your atoms across space or some sort.
Yeah.
So for some reason, I'm not like disturbed by that, but I'm way disturbed by The Prestige. If you've seen that movie and have seen the ending of that movie,
see, I don't get that. Like I don't get how that was a good idea.
It worked,
yeah,
for a while.
He's just trying to manage complexity.
Yeah,
he'd be an excellent programmer.
I was gonna say, I feel like the movie is about how it's not a good idea.
Right.
But I digress. Speaking of band stuff, and also relevant to the podcast, I'm going to a concert next week in Colorado at the Red Rock Amphitheater, which is like bucket list kind of location to go see a concert. I'm going to see the Head and the Heart.
Okay.
And Group Love, I believe, is opening for them.
You're going to Colorado specifically to see this band?
Yeah, and we're building like hiking and stuff around it.
Oh, yeah.
Totally. And so I will be out next week, but for very good cause.
Yeah.
That's also surprising that Group Love would be an opener for a band.
It's an interesting arc. So this is me going to be like music snob, but we discovered the Head and the Heart. The first concert we went to of theirs was when they were playing a like middle school baseball field. So like we've gotten to watch
lifestyle, man.
Yeah. And it was like they were very surprised at the size of the crowd that came out. Like every time the girl in the band sang, like the crowd would just like woo, and it was very clear that she like didn't know what to do with the fact that people were actually cheering for them and excited to see them. So that was really fun. And then this is around, I don't know if this is like their first big opening tour where they've headlined, but I think it's close to like the biggest of magnitude that they've done. So it'll be fun to see the yin and the yang of it.
I'd never heard of either of these bands before.
Oh, the Head and the Heart is great.
Yeah.
Are you going to be singing Denver at all then? Or isn't that the city that's nearest?
We are flying into Denver, but we are spending as much time out in like the mountains and the hills, valleys, whatever Colorado has. I think it's mostly mountains.
Right.
As we can.
Yeah. Huh. Well, that's really cool. That seems like a good place to be this time of year.
Yeah, it'd certainly be cooler than Cincinnati.
And Jesus, fucking armpit. What's your guy? Good.
Yeah, I was gonna say how hot is Cincinnati? Let's get into weather.
See, I never understood that. Like the pitch for Colorado. It seems like whenever I hear someone is like, "Oh yeah, they have such great snow," it's like you keep using those words. I'm not sure you know what they mean.
Great.
They have good beer in Denver, at least. They have like solid.
They would have
selection.
to.
They got to deal with all that snow. Yeah.
Then you need to like email me a hit list. Then
get a Great Divide. They have a brewery like downtown in Denver. It's amazing.
Done.
Also, when you email it, you might not want to like headline it as hit list.
It took me forever to get through TSA. What is up with this vacation?
Hit list. You have to down these foamy heads. Yeah. What? What are you heads? Downing heads? What are you talking about? What's your guys' stance on singing along at concerts?
Depends.
Yeah,
depends on the band.
Depends on if you know how to sing, I suppose.
I suppose. Yeah,
if it's like a karaoke situation, go for it. All in, man.
Yeah.
Everyone's singing
I figure
it.
for people who don't know how to sing, it just depends on their stance on being karate chopped in the throat.
It was just remarkable. If you look at a lyric sheet for Arkville River, it's like a prose page. Like there's no really they don't do a lot of choruses, but it was fun to hear an entire room of people just basically going through reciting these short stories.
Yeah, I feel like actually as much as I advocate throat chopping, actually I the few concerts I've been into, like people singing along was a lot of the fun of it.
Yeah.
I can think of no band where the crowd has started singing along. They're like,
although that would be hilarious.
I saw John Bryan once, and he was performing by himself. But I think the setting was weird because everyone's like sitting down. It'd be weird if someone started singing in that situation. But
yeah,
I don't know.
That's fair.
When I went to see Modest Mouse, and Isaac, it was in Columbus, and Isaac Brock spent the entire time yelling at people to be quiet.
Shut up! I came here to hear Isaac Brock.
Oh man, how about you, Ben?
All right, good time, guys. We'll see you around.
Yeah, okay, later.
Good podcast.
Any other good stuff, or do we want to get on to the show?
I think we're sufficiently warmed up.
I think so. Cool. Well, we've got the usual kind of show for you: the brief, the multiplayer, and the grind. And why don't we get started with the brief, where we talk about things that are happening in the world of video games around us. Let's see here. Who do we want to go first? Can you tell Kole doesn't have the Slack channel open?
I'll go. It's been gone a week.
Big stacker Q.
Yeah. Go for it, Dennis.
Q.
Yeah, so mine is a story about what is now the most watched Twitch clip of all time, which it surprised me that it was. No, this is a clip of a streamer who was playing Outlast 2, which is a scary game, spooky game, and while he is streaming, his 2-year-old daughter sees fit to wander into the room and inadvertently sneak up behind him, and he absolutely loses his shit when something touches him from behind. And to his credit, it's a quick turnaround. He gets it together, picks her up, shows her the camera, and they haha. He pauses the game, so she's not watching anything happen in Outlast. Right. But overall, a really cute moment. But it's gotten 1.5 million views basically overnight. Which makes it the most viewed Twitch clip of all time. And that really surprised me. Like in a world where, people don't get out of bed for more than 10 million views on YouTube.
Right.
1.5 million views of a Twitch clip was all it took to make it the most viewed clip of all time. So
kind of speaks to that Twitch has not hit critical mass yet. But
no, far from it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't hear a lot of people talk about you've got to go watch this Twitch clip.
Well, see, the thing is, I actually often do, but I do so on YouTube.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. Twitch has VOD, but it's nowhere near as accessible and shareable, I think, as YouTube is.
Yeah,
right.
It's also,
so I mean,
right?
Earlier today, I watched this recorded Twitch stream just on YouTube.
Yeah,
but also, isn't that also though? I mean, kind of the point of Twitch is to be live, which would then mean.
Yeah, the user has to do extra work to store those recordings, right, for people to watch later.
Yeah, but it's a couple of clicks, so to call it work is a little a little generous.
Yeah, it's more than I know how to do.
Right.
I got to figure out how to do it though, because apparently, so I need one of my kids to scare the crap out of me. Take a Twitch clip, post it, and it will multiply my Twitch followers by about 30 times.
See, I'm just glad this didn't happen. Him reflexively backhanding or something, and then just 20 minutes of a child sobbing.
That'd be awful.
Here's a fun fact: is what the girl was doing is his partner had given the girl a can of Jack Daniels to bring into it.
Also, Jack Daniels comes in a can.
This is like a pre-mixed Jack and Coke kind of thing.
Yeah, like a cocktail kind of deal. So, it went from cute to, I would say, dark, except for I've done the exact same thing.
Oh, yeah.
So.
starting to see the benefit of kids now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. But yeah, so it's a very cute moment. It's nice to see. So the second
That's
most popular moment is some woman like slamming into a street pole face first, like a video of real life.
Right.
And the third most popular is like a Counter-Strike last minute victory.
Yeah.
So to have something so like cute and endearing actually take the top spot is kind of nice.
Yeah, people like kids.
Mm-hmm.
People say the darndest thing when you're running from virtual serial murders. Yeah, somehow that one didn't make the cut.
No, amazingly not.
Yeah, that show's very weird to look at now.
Yeah, I guess it is.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's interesting. Man, I need to play Outlast 2. It's a wide open world for me now that I'm not doing 2 shows worth of. I'm not doing 2x WAF workload.
See, it really bothers me though. Like, I watched the first 5 minutes of Outlast 2, and like, apparently somehow these like hillbillies have rocket launchers.
Well, of course, why not?
Question mark.
What else are you gonna do?
Like Resident Evil.
What is
4.
this?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what is this? Resident Evil?
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I've only seen the clip of this as far as what I've seen of Outlast 2, but it looks really pretty from that tiny clip.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
In that burning dark kind of way.
Well, of course. Yeah. Technically impressive, not beautiful. Yeah. I've got a story. This is strangely enough about the Atari version of Miss Pac Man.
All right.
No, wait a minute. That's not correct. This is about an AI that Microsoft has developed. More accurately, an AI that a company that Microsoft acquired developed in order to, and this is where my understanding of this falls down, so I'm going to have to sound it out phonetically, in order to develop a kind of AI that does hybrid reward architecture. Okay? This AI was developed, and they decided to test it alongside a game, and they chose Miss Pac-Man over regular Pac-Man because Miss Pac-Man is less predictable, and they figured, let's try and teach this AI to play the perfect game of Miss Pac-Man. Mm-hmm. And so the way this works is they've got, the way they described it was like 150 agents that are all focused on like encouraging or discouraging specific behaviors and outcomes.
Mm-hmm.
And it's doing kind of a real-time sort as it's learning the different behaviors and saying like, all right, if you're keeping these 150 drives in order and following them every time, you're going to always outsmart the game. So it's like putting in basic strategy for Miss Pac-Man, not hacking the actual AI of the game, but actually just like looking at the output of the screen. Sure. And there are some videos that you can look at in the article itself that show the different views that like show you what the AI is seeing at any given time. Mm-hmm. But like it's saying like, hey, at every frame, here's the decision that you need to make. And so they have taken and beaten the existing world record for that game and said, yeah, welcome to the future.
Yeah.
Huh.
This is it. What's interesting is it seems to have beaten it using fairly, conventional methods. Oftentimes, when you look at AIs going after games like this that can, have better reflexes and be more predictive, they'll find like weird, glitchy ways to kind of break the game to win. But this is like looking at it, it's something that conceivably could have been done by a human.
Right.
There's no, it times it so it's like 1 pixel off of the ghost for 30 seconds straight or whatever.
Right.
Is Miss Pac-Man deterministic?
I don't know how to answer that question.
Basically, are the ghosts like randomly seated, or do they always follow the same path if you do the same input?
Each of the ghosts has a different pattern that they do. I don't know if there are some ghosts that are deterministic and others that are that are a little bit more random.
I would guess it's deterministic, but I'm not sure.
Again, I mean, a game that old, I would say yeah.
Yeah. What was the random generation engine in what is this 1970 something?
Yeah. The thing about Miss Pac-Man, I mean, the main thing is that the ghosts all have different behavior. I think that just adds different complexity onto. it adds different tasks for dodging different ones, or prioritizing, this is the one that you need to react to based on how close it is.
Yeah, it's pretty nuts that like you can do machine learning on games and you just tell it the score. You don't tell it anything else, and it can figure out how to play the game from that.
Yeah.
If you're just encouraging like the highest score.
Yeah.
Also, apparently works on the stock market.
Oh, absolutely. Yep. It is a frightening world.
Side note, have you guys heard of or seen the video Humans Need Not Apply?
Yes, CGP Grey. It's a very good video.
Isn't it? Yeah, it's so great.
I missed this one.
Yeah.
This is a constant video that I show my friends whenever this discussion comes up. So
yeah, Grey does very good work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's that video contains some of the best evidence in favor of self-driving cars, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Cool.
I mean, it's still fraught, but like it was and there aren't that many convincing arguments. He makes a good call for it. Yeah.
It's a very coherent argument.
Yes.
See, the thing, did you ever do that that test they had for like there's a really cool site. It's basically presents a whole bunch of driving situations and asks you like what should the self-driving car do.
I think Google did this to collect data where it'd be like something between like an animal and a person or a young person and an old person, that sort of thing.
Geez.
Right. Or like one young person versus like two old people, or like there's a whole bunch that are basically getting at like how do you do things like it's real interesting. I feel like that's though the problem with self-driving cars is how do you get a group of like rules for the AI that everyone agrees with.
Yeah, well, I mean, apparently you just run infinite trolley problems by consensus.
Yeah. Combined, that sounds like an episode of Black Mirror right there.
I'm positive they've done something like that.
Yeah.
I feel like it's bad programming if they program these explicit cases into the AI. Like you should just be always negatively reinforcing any death and say that's bad.
See, but I disagree because I mean that assumes that all deaths are equal. Whereas like if the person that's could potentially die is like jaywalking, that's their problem.
little intense.
Here's what I'm saying. If you're choosing between focusing resources on preventing people from dying in general versus classifying whether or not someone's jaywalking in order to kill them, I would prefer the first option as opposed to the second option.
Yeah.
You don't know some of the jaywalkers in Cincinnati.
No, I'm just saying though, in order to convince me to buy a self-driving car, that's definitely a feature I would insist on.
So along with the arguments that Gray makes, and this is not the topic of the show, but like another thing that convinces me is that a self-driving car knows when to and how to safely get over to the side and stop quickly, whereas humans are less likely to do that. Like, oh shit, the panic mode isn't just like lock down the brake or gas and try and get away from it or steer. It's like, nope, we're gonna stop and we're gonna get over to the side of the road and we're gonna let the human handle this.
Sure.
There's also a very good point too that like self-driving cars don't have to be perfect; they just need to be better than humans, which is like 40,000 deaths a year.
Right.
Although I feel like the problem with that is you get into like a tragedy of the commons thing, which is like what I really want is for everyone else to have self-driving cars.
No, I'd like to have a self-driving car as well. In fact, I don't even want to own a car. I just want to have, self-driving cars just always on patrol. Optimize that shit.
See, but I don't think you're ever
on patrol
going to
for
get
jaywalkers.
Yep.
But I don't think you'll ever get to
jaywalkers.
See, I don't think you'll ever get to a case though where like you'll be able to like just get in the self-driving car and just like take a nap or something.
Well, no, because the seat's going to be covered in vomit and semen. But
well,
just like a lift.
Oh, geez, we need to move on.
All
right. David, what you got?
Right now, a mouthful of cake. One moment.
Mouthful of cake.
Wait, did you bring enough cake for all of us?
Yeah.
No.
Oh.
Whose birthday?
I suspect that some of you may have jaywalked recently. Therefore, I did not bring cake.
We're not deserving of cake. Yeah.
So, I found an article on Hacker News about a guy who is super, super into the most recent Zelda game.
Breath of the Wild.
Yes, which is a horrible name. And basically, apparently it was his goal in order to try to 100% the game, apparently before beating Ganon, because I guess that's the thing.
Yeah.
And he went through and basically like tried to do everything he could and end up with a 98.59% complete.
Okay.
And like any rational person, he then got a list of everything you can do in the game by alphabetical order and compared it to like all of the locations he had already been to.
Oh God.
And was able to get to 99.58% complete.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then again, like as a rational person is to do, he realized he was still missing 5 locations. So he perfectly rationally wrote a computer program that would use Hilbert curves to find the shortest walking path through Hyrule in order to complete every collectible and like location you have to see.
Oh,
so
okay.
So yeah, he actually his code is right there available in the article, and apparently he was able to find a version of the Hyrule or whatever map in Google Maps somehow.
That's a thing. People do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And was able to download the JSON from it that has like all of the points.
Okay.
And basically create a thing that plots between them.
Yeah, so it's taking it takes a bunch of slices. Yeah.
Right. And apparently somehow Hilbert curves are like regular curves, except they have twice as much math, which causes them to, as the slices get bigger, they math better and better until you arrive at the best possible math.
Wait, so as the slices get bigger, don't you want your slices to get smaller and more? Okay.
No, I'm sorry, I said that in reverse. As these slices get smaller, the curves math harder until they reach optimum math.
Right, that's the Hilbert difference.
Yes.
Or your money back.
So, yeah.
So is this tied to input? Like, did you figure out a way to turn this into a program that would 100% Zelda for him, or?
No. That's completely crazy. No, this just tells you where you need to go in order to 100% Zelda.
Okay, so it's like one of those puzzles where you have to walk on every tile without ever crossing over again, except in Hyrule.
So actually, back when I was into World of Warcraft, someone actually made an add-on that was basically this for leveling to the level cap.
Okay.
Like it would literally tell you like exactly where to go. Go here. Follow the tom arrow.
Right.
In order to like get this quest, go here, kill 10 rutabagas. And then, I don't know, yeah.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah, this is
also, what the heck is a bloopy or whatever?
A bloopy?
Yes, apparently there's some sort of Zelda something or another now called a bloopy.
Is it not a rupee?
BLUPEE. And it basically looks like if you combined an owl, a rabbit, a fern, and a Lovecraftian horror.
I don't know. I haven't played enough Breath of the Wild to know that. Yeah. So I can't understand the code on this at all. This is a very erudite episode, you guys. Aside from that talk about vomit and cum. But no, this
Sounds
article...
like grad school to me.
But the summary parts of this are actually pretty cool. I mean, like, yes, I know some of these words. Like they mentioned the traveling salesman problem. Yeah.
I just want to know, like, what's a bigger time loss? Like, not having an optimal path for these 5 locations you have left, or writing a program to figure the optimal path to go through these?
Then, if you're asking that question, you shouldn't be in math.
So sorry. This is why I left grad school in math.
Well, have you seen the XKCD? Is it worth the time?
I have not.
Basically,
is it worth the time to read it?
Yes. No, it's basically a plot of how many times you have to do something, how often you do something, and how much time you can save, and therefore gives you how long you can spend, setting up to save that time in order to break even across 5 years.
Yeah. So the idea is, okay, so the break even point for a task that you do weekly, if you want to shave 30 seconds off of that weekly task, so say doing the towels in your laundry or whatever, or washing your sheets, you need to spend 2 hours getting 30 seconds off of that task. If you spend any more than 2 hours, you'll have invested more time into optimizing than you would have ever gained by optimizing.
Yeah. So what this means is if you consider that, like, the time to beat on a Zelda game is probably at least 24 hours, and you do, let's say you play a Zelda, style game, yearly, then you could apparently spend 5 days, doing this, and which point you would still come out ahead.
Yeah, what I'm tired of is that pesky magic in the games that I play.
Wait, no.
Wonder.
Yeah.
Wait, this is coming from the person that had a whiteboard with a reminder to play a game for fun.
Who currently has a whiteboard that has Metal Gear Revengeance broken into chapters, so I can cross those chapters off to remind myself.
You're having fun, Kole. Keep going.
Remember, this should be fun. Oh, jeez.
It kind of entertains me that Metal Gear Revengeance has chapters.
I mean, yeah, it's
like it thinks it has plot.
It's got plot. I'm enjoying it.
I'm a huge fan of it, but it's such a off the rails game.
It's so good. And then finally, Ben, what did you bring to us?
Yeah, new Uncharted game. It's an Uncharted game. You should play it. That's all.
This is the one that stars the woman from Uncharted 4, right? Nadine Ross.
It's a side quest. It's I think the auxiliary love interest. I forget her name from Uncharted 2.
Chloe.
Yeah, and then it's the general character from Uncharted 4. It's
not general as in generic, but like general as in she is the general of an army.
She is a general, and she beats the shit out of Nathan Drake in Uncharted 4, and it's pretty awesome.
Wait, so how many love interests does Drake have by the end of it?
2? I think just 2. It's kind of like a will they, won't they situation with Chloe, and then between that and the other girl.
Yeah, one of them is kind of a light brunette, and the other is a bit of a dark blonde.
Wait, what?
Exactly.
I'm describing the hair colors. So I mean, like, so I just give me some more details on this. Like, is this coming out? Is it already out? What's the?
That's a good question. The reason why this was relevant to me is this made me remember that there was an Uncharted game coming out, and I wanted to play it. So let's. It comes out on August 22nd. So a scant month away.
Yeah. I'm trying to decide, like, that they didn't just go back to the literal Nathan Drake well. Like, they didn't use his character exactly, which is good. I like them branching out. I'm trying to decide if I like this, like taking familiar characters and doing a game with them, more than, hey, let's do an Uncharted-esque game, something like The Last of Us. Completely.
Wait, how are those two games similar?
Made by the same developer and the same
same developer,
same engine.
yeah. Very similar.
Feel weird about shooting people.
Yeah.
I will agree that the engine is similar. I will not agree that the tone is similar in any way.
Oh,
but
no, yeah.
I mean the
Maybe
DLC the DLC for The Last of Us was really good at exploring like the backstory of not a side character, but a character.
Yeah, secondary lead.
Yeah. So I could see this being just as good as that. And since they've been working on this for a year, I guess it's coming out a year after Uncharted 4, I could see this being a beefier version of that.
Mm-hmm. I'm very happy that the gameplay demo that they show is entirely the kind of open world Jeep based level that I liked so much in 4. And so if they continue the quality of this kind of level, I'm very excited to see more of that.
If their Jeep game is on point.
Their Jeep game is on
do
fleek.
in fact make everything better. That's just science.
Okay. I'm sorry. There's way too much going on here. We're praising Jeeps, and Dennis just said on fleek.
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
Sorry. Okay. Wow.
Cole,
Nothing's
when
out
did
of
you know
order
you were
here.
old?
What's that?
I said, Cole, when did you know you were old? It was when I got frustrated with Jeep game and on fleek.
I was born old.
Always been old, yeah.
Multiplayer.
Now it is time for the multiplayer, where we ask you a question and then you answer. Dennis, what is the question that you ask the nice people?
The question is kind of existential this week. Not existential, I don't know. It's heartfelt. Has playing a game ever helped you deal with or process emotion or situations from real life? Let us know your story.
Yeah. And we don't have a lot of responses, but the ones we have are doozies. So let's get started. Franz writes, the final ending of Nier Gestalt really helped me saying, okay, now I'm really done with this game. Don't get me wrong, I really loved it, but no way I'm going to do another playthrough after that. It's a pretty shallow answer, but that's just because my life has always been pretty good.
So they Return of the King the end of that game, it sounds like.
You play it several times, and I guess so. Nier Gestalt is the name of a different version of Nier. There are different ones. There were 2 versions that were released in Japan. We only got one, but I'm not sure which one it was. They're very similar, but they have different protagonists.
Huh.
Yeah. Well, yeah. if you consider wanting to play another game in emotion, then yes, this one did help you work it out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. David, what did Michael say?
Michael says, I had a very rough patch with my career recently. I was overwhelmed by work piling up from every angle and unreasonable demands. It got bad enough that I was going to quit. Then along came a $3.99 sale on Stardew Valley. This game is pure relaxation. The comforting characters and gameplay helped give me a haven from the modern world's horrors. As I looked out at my farm, I felt the knots inside me untangle at last.
I hope that the subtext of this is that he was playing this at work and that made it more bearable.
Yeah.
That's how you do.
I mean, that kind of game is comforting. It gives you it's routines, right?
Mm-hmm.
I do find it kind of ironic that it is apparently the exact opposite of the appearance of real farming from everything I hear about actually farming.
Yeah, it's the Anti-Steinbeck. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, what was that sound? Who made the bloop?
That was my phone. I'm sorry, it vibrated.
Oh, okay. No, I thought that was a noise somebody made from their mouth, and it was funny. But now I'm angry.
I'm so sorry. It'll never happen again.
You're damn right. You're off the
Don't
show.
kick me off the podcast.
No. In fact, you're not off the show. What does Roop say?
All right, I'll earn my keep. Roop says, Soul series really helped me through the time in university. It was something I knew I could conquer, and it stayed the same.
Yeah.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we've had a lot of people writing into Bonfireside Chat about stuff that is very similar to that effect, especially as that show is ending. You know, people are kind of opening their hearts up about that.
Mm-hmm.
The role that Souls has played in their lives. Yeah.
It's good stuff.
Dennis, what does Greg say?
Yeah, Greg says, I still refer to the August 2008 to 2009 period of my life as my year from hell due to all the bad things that happened during it. During that time period, it's a long list, it's a bad year. I lost my job and couldn't find another one. Money was super tight with me racking up a lot of debt. Had to move twice within a 3-month period due to a robbery where I had lost a ton of stuff, and then due to a fire in the new place. lost both my grandmother and an aunt, both of which I was close to, lost a longtime friend due to a stupid mistake, and a bunch of other smaller things. In the end, I moved to a good apartment and found a good job, but for a while it was touch and go to the point where I thought I might be homeless and was having harmful thoughts about myself, which I went on medication for. To make things worse, the friends I thought I had turned their back on me when I needed them the most. With everything falling apart on me, games were what kept me going. I didn't play much more than normal, but I fell into old favorites such as RPGs, NES, and SNES games, and World of Warcraft to try to escape how painful real life had become, and to try to bring a little fun to my terrible situation. It gave me motivation to keep going and reminded myself that bad things happen all the time and you come out of it stronger. Those nostalgic trips in gaming really kept me going during that dark year. Yeah, thanks for sharing that.
Yeah. I think a lot of people can relate with having like definitely a year that's not a good year in general.
Seems to hit like that, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Rains it pours. Yeah. But fortunately, you found a way through.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Let's see. John writes, co-op and multiplayer games help grease the wheels when it comes to making and maintaining friendships. I'm pretty crap at asking people to meet up in person. A lot of anxiety keeps me from that, but I'm always up for a game of PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. And Battlegrounds gives you a lot of great downtime to catch up with friends.
That is true. It is interesting. Like, people joke that it's camping simulator. There's definitely that catch up with friends element to it when you know there's nobody within a mile of you and you're just kind of rummaging around and shooting the shit.
Yeah.
There's a nice consideration aspect where it's like, hey, do you need a scope? I found 2. Do you want one?
Yeah.
We're just trying to get through this together, man.
I got some extra inventory space. I'll run it over to you. Don't worry.
Also, I want to make a proposal. Can we refer to it as PUBG now? Because I feel like that's under common vernacular.
Or at least Plunkbat.
Yeah, I still want to modify the chat bot to refer to do the bat emoji to all mentions of Plunkbat.
It's a bat who likes to play Kerplunk.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that game, Kerplunk?
Perfectly rational, yeah.
David, what does Juan say?
Juan says, I received a GameCube and Wind Waker, sans memory card, as a birthday / sorry you broke your wrist right before summer vacation gift.
Oh no.
I still remember struggling to play those first few hours with fresh casts. There is one scene that remains with me to this day. When you're on top of the island and you watch as your sister is taken away by the evil bird. Link doesn't hesitate. He runs full force, newly equipped sword and shield in hand, right off a cliff, but Tetra catches him. The scene hit me very hard as I had lost my own little sister a little over a year prior. I just remember breaking down to tears. I was only a few days past 12. I lied to my mom and told her I thought it was a reaction to the meds. How could she understand that I felt helpless just like Link in that moment? This day, I still have to tell doctors I'm allergic to a certain painkiller if my mother is ever around. In a nutshell,
No.
Solid commitment, dude. You could be in an improv troupe.
help me deal with feeling helpless physically and emotionally. After a few weeks of starting over with no memory card, it was an endurance exercise. To this day, I still roll a tear whenever I see that scene, but it's more just how far I've come from that helpless little boy. That's a really cool story.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that.
Mm-hmm.
Huh. Yeah, I don't know what to add to that.
It's interesting playing without a memory card, so probably going through that scene a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ben, what does Danny say?
Danny says, World of Warcraft was kind of a help for me. I went through a rough patch right during my first year of college where I disowned half my family, stopped talking to some of my friends due to severe depressive episode, and other assorted nastiness. Warcraft gave me something mindless and repetitive to do so my brain could process everything, and people to act as sounding boards until I figured out what to do next. I ended up playing World of Warcraft for a pretty decent chunk of the Pandaria expansion before I kind of snapped out of my fugue and went to culinary school. This isn't to say that World of Warcraft didn't also lead to me flunking out of engineering school to end up in the field where I'm unhappy about being in. But hey, I'm working on that part now without the aid of the Demon Warcraft.
I like that, the Demon Warcraft.
I think people can relate to that as well, or at least, yeah.
It's the angel on your shoulder and the devil on your shoulder.
Of course.
Mm-hmm.
It pulls double duty. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Dennis, what does Jonathan say?
He says, I had depression for years. Games like Red Alert, SimCity, Diablo 2, Quake, Counter-Strike, and Unreal Tournament helped me keep centered. Short and sweet.
Yeah, I can see as something like Red Alert or Red Alert SimCity helping with that. Maybe even Diablo 2 to a certain extent. Again, patterns and management and feeling in control.
I do enjoy the fact, though, that apparently Counter-Strike helps him to find his zen.
You're in the moment, you know?
Oh, no, yeah. I mean, someone who that is, allows them to is probably, yeah.
Yeah, catch as
I can
catch
get
can,
with that.
you know? Yeah. Sorry I yawned there. That was incredibly rude. I'm just very tired.
It's late.
And finally here, Lindsay writes, Dark Souls 2's story of insanity to hope helped me with more than I can admit. As I saw the story more clearly, I saw our story more clearly. You will go on a journey and not know why, as exactly our lives, as messed up as they can be. Even elevators and weird places for all your Gamergate schmucks. God, that fucking elevator. I'm not angry that it went the way it did. I'm angry that people got angry at us.
Wait, what?
It's way too much to go into.
Google elevator gate. I'm sure it'll come up.
Yeah. The fact that happened at the same time as Gamergate didn't help. So he continues, I introduced my friend to Dark Souls 2, and as I type this, he is about to beat the game for the first time, and he sees it as well. I know this is long, sorry, but I wanted to say to Jala, you are in my thoughts. I hate your circumstances, and I wish you well in the near future. Thanks to all of you guys here at the level and on Duckfeed, you have got me through many nights and days at work. You two have influenced my thinking. Take this as a compliment from a guy whose picture is me with a katana. And I can confirm that Lindsay's picture is definitely him with a katana.
Forming a gang now.
I completely approve.
So I just want to throw out a message. If anyone's going through anything, like, just play video game. Like, you can add me on Steam. I'm at Merkleizer, or I'm just Merkleizer. But, like, yeah, I just want to re-up on the community because it seems to be doing, like, really well right now.
Yeah,
yeah, for sure. Let's remember at the end of the episode to give
all
our
the things.
Give like screen names as well as Twitter handle.
Yeah. Remind me, because I'm so entrenched in routine.
I'm typing it in my notes, so it's gonna happen.
Dude, I think I was told or suggested or something the greatest possible like screen name.
What was it?
There's a group, one of the like web development consultancies has a band near us whose name is Kernel Panic, which I guess for less nerdy is basically in like a Linux-based shell is basically the catch-all error for. It's kind of the Linux equivalent of the blue screen of death.
Yeah, it's really upsetting when your Mac does it.
Yeah, but this then is like Colonel, as in like Colonel Sanders.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. It's a pun. That makes it awesome.
I was driving the other day and I was thinking about how awesome the screen name of our high school friend Kole was. Dictator Tot. That was a very good screen name.
I still maintain though my favorite screen name I ever saw was saw someone once on Counter-Strike whose screen name was G.I. Jew, a real American Hebrew.
We're off topic. Thank you everybody for sharing your stories with that. I'm going to cop out and share a story that I shared on a recent Bonfireside Chat After Dark. It's not so much a story, but it's just it is the least surprising version of this, which is I found Dark Souls at a time when I was starting to or not starting, but like on the tail of exploring things like mindfulness as a way to manage anxiety. And not so much the subject matter of the game, but the loop of the game that just kind of like, hey, don't hold on to that, because if you lose it, it's it's not going to suck. You're going to get it back. Whatever, it's fine. It was this nice little bit of kind of resonance between those two interests in my life in late 2011. Yeah,
for sure.
Yep. Let's see.
So,
David, how about you?
So I think for me, actually, probably Warframe would be a pretty good one. Kind of like some of the people said, this past year when I was looking for work, it was very much something that I could just kind of like grind on in between times or in down times, stuff like that. I'd say other than that, it's kind of hard because, I feel like there's a whole bunch of games that were just like really important at a specific time in my life, but not necessarily something that I could say like anything coherent about why, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. So. Yeah, no, I think that's a valid answer. I don't thought I'm the judge of it or anything. I'm just Ben, how about you?
Yeah, I think I'd probably tie mine more to like a community as well, and it'll sound weird, but I would say probably Rocket League fills this, where it's like that's probably the game that I do the most amount of socializing on with like other people, and just that alone by itself, independent of the game content, I think is very valuable. So, yeah,
for sure.
And Dennis, take us home.
Yeah, what came to mind for me is I got into Hearthstone shortly, like literally in the hospital after Luke was born. It was like
Luke being your oldest son.
Yeah, Luke is so 3 years ago. Yeah. And it was like, I knew it was going to be in the hospital for a while and lots of sleepless nights and everything. I was like, I'll put this game on my phone and, see how it goes. And I wound up playing it while I was like sleep deprived or like, halfway conscious a lot, to the point it was like hardcore Tetris syndrome where like you wake up and realize you've been playing a game in your mind.
You've been running scenarios.
Yeah. But I think that was just to have something that was very concrete and finite to solve. Hearthstone is essentially a series of little puzzles in a row.
Yeah.
Was really good in a time where I was entering parenthood, which is about as abstract and not concrete as you can get. So there's a nice little yin and yang there.
Yeah, a bunch of small decisions with defined outcomes.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Nice. Well, thank you, everybody, for writing in on that. If you want to write in for future multiplayers, go and like us on Facebook at facebook.com/thelevelpodcast. And thank you, Dennis, for putting that question up.
Mm-hmm.
The grind.
Now it is time for the grind, where we talk about the things we have been playing over the past period of time or so. Let's see. We are in a conundrum, because normally I defer to the person who was not here last time. However, both Ben and Dennis were absent, so I will let you two fight it out.
Rock, paper, scissors.
Thunderdome.
In a non-visual medium.
I started to do rock, paper, scissors, but I was holding my beer and sloshed it all over myself. So geez. Ben, you need to go first while I clean up.
All right, I'm done with that. Okay, all right. I basically, every time I do this, by the way, I just look at my Steam history of like the last 2 weeks and then just go down that list. Okay, so I beat Hexcells. I can't remember if I talked about closing that one out or not.
You didn't talk about closing it out, but you definitely talked about it as kind of a simplistic, like more complex Minesweeper.
Yeah, definitely more complex Minesweeper, kind of like Sudoku, kind of a similar vibe or whatever. Yeah. It's just a fun little puzzle game. I think the entire thing took me 6 hours to beat, which is ironic because the game kind of revolves around the theme of 6. There's 6 different stages, whatever. But yeah, whatever. So that's there if people are interested for like a bite-sized puzzle game. I think it's only a couple bucks on Steam. Definitely with the sale, I think it was under $1. So cheap option. I played another game called OVIVO. I think that's how you pronounce it. It's OVIVO. It was billed as another puzzle game. It kind of has it's kind of this weird system where. Okay, so I'm going to break character now. Second question: Can you hear a dog barking outside?
I heard the dog, but it was cute. It's fine. I generally don't care too much about animal noises.
These are Austin animal noises too, since now I hear 2 dogs barking. Yeah. All right. Sorry.
So the dog is not coming from inside the house.
I love that
No,
you refer to it as breaking character.
Well,
Gonna break composure. You're going to acknowledge
I
as
follow.
there's a lot of dogs in Austin, so apologies. Okay. Anyway.
Apologies. Pause and PPA. The pet industry thrives on puns. Okay.
Okay, so OVIVO is the name of this game. The mechanic of it is it's like a kind of like a platformer, but the way it works is you have a button to change which side of the platform you're on and which way gravity flows. So that sounds kind of weird. It's probably easy to explain if you watch a video for it. But so if you like jump up in the air and then you press this button to switch, you'll basically fall through the platform. But when you fall through the other side, gravity's going up now, and then you'll eventually like land back on your side. Normal day stuff.
Yeah, this is similar to a game. It's not Contrast, but it was. It's very much.
Go ahead.
What's it good?
I thought I was going to say Ibn Ob.
Yeah, a little bit like Ibn Ob. This has a black and white art style, and the idea is that like, if you're standing upright and you're in the white space, your character is black. You press the button, then you fall through to the other side, and now you're walking upside down as though the white space is a solid surface, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't want to harp on this game too much because I did not have a tremendous amount of fun on it. Ibob is a great reference because that was a much more fun version of this game. So I'm fine with ending this conversation pretty quickly.
The man has no mercy. Yeah.
Sorry, I don't know. If other people like it, that's fine. I just didn't get a lot out of it. So that's just my personal opinion.
Yeah.
The game I want to move to, which I was pretty excited about, is I played a game called Kingsway.
Oh, shit. Yeah, this looks really good.
Okay, it's an Adult Swim game, which I didn't know that was the studio, but Adult Swim Games is the studio.
Yeah. Adult Swim published Frog Fractions too. Like they're a legit indie game.
Yeah, they make a ton of really great games. Unfortunately, they tend to be unreasonably difficult.
I know they also have a Rick and Morty VR game, which I found out after playing this.
Yeah.
But I do not have VR, so I have not played that yet. But yeah, okay, so Kingsway. The premise of Kingsway is you are playing on this operating system that's something in the same vein as like Windows 93 or 95. So there's basically a lot of like outdated pop-up windows, and there's like files you're managing, but everything's kind of tied into this operating system. So you're playing a game within this operating system. So you're playing a game within the game, kind of.
Yeah.
So, for example, the soundtrack of the game isn't played naturally. You have to click on a program in this operating system, which is like the equivalent of like a Winamp player, but in the style of a Windows 93, 95 game. And you can play the soundtrack. So you can just click a button and just autoplay it as you're playing this game proper.
Yeah.
But this is opening up a window that you need to manage or whatever. Instead of an inventory system somewhere in the game, you open up a file directory. It opens up a file folder. That's your inventory system. Yeah. So any items you get in the game is like a file item that you add to this folder. And this file folder has a weight limit. Essentially, that's the equivalent of a RPG game. Uh-huh. But you can get other like attach or other things to store items. There's like a weird like inconsistency where if you get another bag, you can store it in this file folder, and the weight limit inside of that bag doesn't contribute to the outside bag. But
it's like a bag of holding, yeah.
Yeah, that was a little bothersome for me, but whatever. That's not a big deal.
I feel like Adult Swim Studios a little bothersome for me is a great slogan.
but the game itself that you're playing is like a Windows 3.1 style top-down tile-based role-playing game, right?
Yeah, so the game proper is a game within the game where it's an RPG. You are playing. It kind of starts out in a similar way of Morrowind, where you start out on a boat on one side of the map, and you have the rest of the world that you can explore. But you do it in this like really interesting and goofy interface where it's like you click on a city you want to travel to, and you press a command to travel there, and then a pop-up window comes up with a progress bar of you traveling there, and just fills out as you're walking there. And basically all the enemy battles that you have are pop-up windows. So along the way, as you're traveling to this building, a pop-up window might come up, and it will be a picture of an enemy, and it has options of how you can attack them.
Yeah.
And so you basically have to be frantically clicking on these windows in order to try and beat the enemy. So the wrinkle is that the windows will move kind of similarly to what the enemy type is. So like if it's a zombie, it'll kind of slowly move in a single direction. If it's like a flying creature, the window might kind of float around in a certain direction and be harder to follow.
So it's moving the click target.
Yeah, exactly. And you have to try and keep your cursor to it. It's also like a roguelike type game, so it's very probable that you'll die sometime playing this game. You'll just start over again. Not a big deal. But yeah, it's all about leveling up your character. I think there's like basically 3 checkpoints that you have to get to turn on torches. So it's kind of similar to maybe Dark Souls from what I hear of Dark Souls.
Mm-hmm.
And then once you, there's basically boss battles there. And once you do that, you can go to the final boss. And so your job is to explore the world, and they kind of give you the big guideline that the further east you go on the map, the harder the enemies are. And so you can kind of explore it however you want to explore it.
Oh my gosh, I'm really looking forward to the idea of like editing a configuration file, like in text, like by digging into the directory in order to make something easier, or to like get around a block in the game.
That would be nice. That would be interesting if they add a console line expansion to this game.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, and so some of the charm of this game as well is when you're fighting a single enemy, so it's a pop-up window for the enemy, but they might do some sort of attack, like they might shoot an arrow at you, or they might shoot a fireball at you, which is another pop-up window that'll come up and just start scrolling from one side of the window to the other, and it has a progress bar on it, and you have to click it before it reaches its destination, or that'll like be considered to hit you or something. So it's like you're basically fighting pop-up windows. So this is basically like early 2000s internet, essentially. But yeah,
I have a distinct memory of my first like pop-up ad, and it was when I was like, "Congratulations, you're the 1,000th visitor. Click here for your prize." And I remember thinking like, "Gee, that's awesome! I'm so lucky!" Like,
the internet's
and then I
great.
Yeah, I was so close to it. I was like, "Well, maybe I should ask someone." had my innocence shattered.
I basically felt like Neo when I punched that monkey.
But yeah, Kingsway, it's pretty fun. I think I beat it. I believe.
I love the uncertainty. That's great.
I got a ending, and I assume that is the ending, but I'm unsure if there are more endings for this game or not. This game came out pretty recently, so I tried to Google whether or not there were alternate endings, but I couldn't find anything yet. So I think maybe this game hasn't reached a whole lot of popularity yet.
We are shockingly current on this because I think this came out like last week.
Yeah, and to be fair, I only found out about this game from somebody else who keeps better track of games than I do. So, yeah.
Man, you've sold me on this. This sounds great.
Yeah. So it's a $10 game. I got 6 hours of play on this. I was perfectly happy with that. Yeah. So if that's like a good value ratio for you, I would say go for it. Yeah, and it's definitely, I think it's one of those things where I think I got lucky on the run through that I did, that I was able to beat the game, but it's definitely like a sort of like snowball effect where if things go right for you, it's like a roguelike, you know?
Yeah.
If things go right for you, if enough variables go your way, then you can make it, you know?
Yeah, you can tell when you're on a good run.
Yeah, but it's definitely like a nail biter towards the end. I was very close to death for like a solid 20 to 30 minutes. So
that's great.
Yeah, they did a good job of managing the level curve on that. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. It's definitely a charming game. Makes me excited for Adult Swim games if they keep producing games like that.
Yeah, I think they. Forgive me if I'm wrong, but I think they did like Pony Island as well.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
That would make perfect sense. They're the charm of Pony Island and the charm of this are very similar.
Yeah,
yeah.
And now I am very self-conscious about whether or not that is that is correct. That they
I'm pulling it up now.
No, it was published by the dude. Sorry, it feels very much in the spirit of that studio though.
Yeah,
and that is
they've made a lot of like really hardcore roguelikes. I know.
Yeah.
Okay. Huh. So, all right. Any questions on that game? Otherwise, I'll move on. But do you guys have any questions about Kingsway?
Oh, they made Rain World. That looks good.
I have no questions about Kingsway. It sounds amazing.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I imagine I'll probably gush about it more in the future if you guys play it. Otherwise, kind of put a pin in it. So another game that I wanted to mention, I did not play because it is not out yet, but it's another current game that I saw somebody play on Twitch that I want to talk about, is a game called Fidel. So I put this on my wish list. It's an indie game. It's a puzzle game, and it's a kind of weird, kind of funny looking game.
Is it Fidel like Castro?
It is
Or like
spelled
the
the same
singer.
way, but a very different connotation. I imagine it's nothing like. It has nothing to do with communism, at least from the outset.
Okay.
The full name is Fidel Dungeon Rescue.
Okay.
The premise of the game is you are a dog. You are trying to save a grandma who is assumedly your owner. And the way that you're doing this is your grandma was stolen. You're going down the depths of a dungeon in order to find her and save her. And basically each level of the dungeon is a Pathfinder game. So as a dog, you have a leash, and a leash that is infinitely long, apparently. And so you cannot cross over a space that your leash is already in. So you can't cross the path that you've already traced.
God, I know the name of this kind of puzzle, but
So it's very similar to The Witness, right? Because it's the same sort of premise. But the wrinkle in it is that there are monsters and health packs scattered across the board. So you, Fidel the dog, have a certain amount of health at the start of the game. I think you start off with like 2 health.
Mhm.
Every monster that you walk over will take your health down a peg. Every health pack that you walk over will fill your health back up to 2. I think you can even lose 2 health if you start at 2 health. Like you can have 0 health and you'll still be alive. But if you lose 3, you basically have to finish the map really quick or you'll die. And so it's a puzzle game where you're trying to do a pathfinding through this, but you're also in addition trying to kill the most amount of enemies and pick up the most amount of health packs, essentially, and so that you can kill the most amount of enemies.
So fill as much of the screen as possible.
Yes, basically. And there is somewhat of a time limit on it, because if you spend enough time in the map, a ghost starts to appear at the starting point of the map, and it is a ghost that will eventually follow your leash and chase you and kill you if it touches you, which makes you have to finish the map as quickly as possible.
No, so it's like Spelunky in that way.
Yeah. It's like a action puzzle game where there are quick decisions that you need to make eventually.
Yeah.
Do
the enemies move only when you move, or
the enemies are all in a static position of what square they're on, but they all actually that's not even true. Some of them move, but they all kind of have different rule sets. So like there's default spiders that are just they don't move. If you hit them, you lose life, but you kill them, you get a certain number of points. If you run
Just
over
like real spiders.
Yeah. And just like with real spiders, if you kill 3 of them in succession, you get a bonus streak for doing that. And so kind of the goal is you fill out a level you'll get experience for each of the enemies you kill, and so that can level you up. So you get like more hearts and maybe more abilities, something like that. So the game is basically about learning about the different enemies, learning how you can kill them, and it's a pathfinding game on top of that.
Yeah.
So it's a really cool like marriage of puzzle or of genres, both puzzle and like action, because you have to do this pretty quickly and you're under pressure.
Yeah.
Ben, are you in the future? Because I'm looking at it on Steam and it says release date August 1st, 2017.
Yes. So that's why at the top of this I mentioned I have not played this yet. I've only seen a stream.
Oh, you've
of
watched a
the
streamer.
play.
That's right.
Exactly.
Okay.
So I have this on my wish list, so I will probably pick this up as soon as it comes out. It looks pretty cool. I think it's under $10, but I'm not sure where it is. It might be $9.99, something like that. But yeah, this is also a roguelike type of game, and it also has kind of layers where when you beat it one way, it'll open it up to you can turn on a secondary mode, which kind of changes the rules, and you can play through it a secondary way. So it looks like it has like a lot of depth for it, despite just being kind of like a simple puzzle game on the surface. So yeah.
Nice.
So I will probably have more to report about this like in a week or so when the game actually comes out.
It's got a very good art style. Look at that little guy. Look at that little dog. Look at him go.
Yeah, it's like a retro art style. I don't know what bit level it's at, but
it would remind you of like Crypt of the Necrodancer if you've played or seen that.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Other than that, just got staple games. Been playing Rocket League. Been playing Magic Online, and that's about it. So,
nice.
Yeah.
If you can think of the name of that kind of puzzle, let me know, because it is driving me crazy.
Just blurt it out when you find it.
Yeah,
Witness puzzle.
It's specifically the kind of puzzle where you have to walk over all of the available tiles without ever walking over a tile that you have walked over before.
Is it an Euler path? Maybe I don't know.
Yeah. It's like named after some kind of mythological figure or like a Greek philosopher.
It's a Hilbert puzzle.
Okay, yeah, there's the one.
Curve.
Yeah. Dennis, how about you?
Yeah, so just 2 games to talk about this week. I've been playing more of Krater, which is that kind of RPG that has you versus controlling one character, controlling a small squad of characters.
Yep.
I continue to find it very endearing in its style, and I'm pleased with the diversity of enemies that's starting to crop up. So the actual combat encounters themselves are getting really interesting, because now there's enemies that are healers, and there's enemies that will just run towards you and explode. And none of these is revolutionary in and of itself, but for a while all the enemies were just either a melee character or a stand back and shoot character. Mm-hmm. And so now I'm starting to feel like I'm seeing lots more unique enemy types that are having me change up my tactics.
Yeah.
And so that stayed interesting. The problem is that the quests have not been as diverse as the enemy types. So everything boils down to you're going into a dungeon and clearing out that dungeon.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're lucky, you'll get one where you're just supposed to go talk to someone, but that's super boring to do.
Right.
The dialogue is quirky and fine, but there's nothing great there that I feel like I've got to get to. So really it's providing just the barest motivation to go through these dungeons, and what's keeping me going is the gameplay itself is fun.
Yeah.
So it depends on how consistently they're introducing new and interesting combat challenges for how long I'll keep on playing, I guess. Go ahead.
Does it start to feel grindy then after a while if they don't introduce like a new character?
I don't know if I describe it as grindy, because I'm making consistent progress. So it's not like I'm just running around trying to get random encounters so I can be strong enough to get through the next story mission.
Okay.
But it is a little bit grindy in that there wasn't a terrible amount new or different in the combats until they started introducing these new enemy types. So maybe a little bit. One thing that I really like though is, because I'm playing on hard mode, one of your team members can get knocked down and killed essentially, and you can bring them back in the mission. But that will give them a permanent debuff. And if they get knocked down more than 3 times, they're dead permanently and gone. But all the debuffs have very colorful descriptions. Like my sniper has a broken jaw and he's constantly drooling. And a smashed foot, so he has reduced movement speed. But he's the broken jaw is reduced defense. But he's a sniper. He doesn't need either of those things. And I've put a bunch of points like into upgrades and everything for him. So I've invested in this guy.
Just be happy with what you've got, you big baby.
Yeah.
Walk it off, but slowly. Be careful.
But it's such an interesting just mental image of my sniper just being like drooling onto his stock, but still blowing everyone away.
I'm also confused. Why does drooling lower your defense?
Bullseye.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know why it lowers your defense.
Makes you slippier. I don't know.
Maybe like a broken jaw. Like if somebody has a glass jaw. Like Glass Joe and Punch Out. Yeah.
There you go. I like that.
It's easier to KO.
But it's kind of that weird situation where like he's too valuable to not take out into the field, but he's also kind of got these negatives to having him there, where it's like I kind of almost want to go get a new guy, but I feel a little loyal to him. So
and that's what makes you weak.
Yeah.
See Darkest Dungeon. Just call through the new people. They're just cattle.
So
Can
you heal these at all, or
you can? So they will have non-permanent debuffs that you can heal, but if they get knocked down, they will also get a permanent debuff. So some of them you can take away, and I've done that with the sniper, but some of them are just there, and as long as the character is alive. And clearly that hasn't stopped me from taking them out into the field. But it is just an interesting way to play with that. So I'm not like chewing
so much
through
for
characters.
Swedish healthcare.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't. It feels like one step above XCOM in terms of how I think about these characters, which is good. So I'm enjoying my time with that. Any questions on Krater beyond what I've already described?
Have you named the characters after various people you know?
No, I don't know if there's even an option to name them. I'd have to look up what their names are because it's all very Swedish.
Yeah, I need to look. Has someone on the internet made a name Swedishifier?
Oh, that'd be great. The sniper, I do remember he's got a nickname of the Duke. So it's like so and so the Duke, which is fun. But yeah, tons of personality in this game.
Nice.
And then the other game I picked up was Lords of the Fallen.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I'm mostly excited about it because it means I have a whole new section of Bonfireside chat to listen to.
Oh, it's unlocked that content for you, yeah.
Yeah. I can go back and listen to those episodes now that I know what you guys will be talking about. But it hews extremely close to Dark Souls.
Yeah.
Like it is incredibly similar, and that's mostly to the game's credit. Like I am enjoying the combat. Like it feels like Dark Souls. It feels very satisfying. I'm playing as a rogue, so backstabby character, which I've never done before. And I think backstabs in this game are a little bit more generous than they are in Dark Souls because I could never get them to work in Dark Souls, but here I seem to be pulling it off pretty well. There's no multiplayer component. They change up, a thing here or there, but it's essentially, like an off-brand Dark Souls.
Yeah.
I do feel like spells and weapon upgrades feel more impactful to me in this game. Like ultimately in Dark Souls, when I was getting new spells, there was magic weapon, which gave me extra damage, and then there was firing off hexes, which gave me extra damage.
Right.
And it was it was just kind of, it might as well have been a bow and arrow. Whereas the spells in this game feel like they're a little more impactful and unique. One puts up a dummy that distracts enemies. One allows you to kind of shift into the shadows and sneak around a bit. And I found myself, feeling like activating a spell, changes up what I was planning on doing more significantly, which mirrors that they cost more, and you can really only cast one or two at a time before running out.
Yeah, it feels more similar to like class abilities than spells.
Yeah, that's a great way of saying it for sure. The other big difference from Dark Souls, and I hesitate to even describe it as big, is that your soul or your ghost, the stain that you leave when you die, leaks experience. So if you don't get back to it quickly, you'll only be picking up 80% or 60% or 40% of the experience you had when you died. And I think that's a really bad decision because it takes you straight into nothing to lose, sprint past everything mode.
Yeah.
And you get there in Dark Souls, you get to the point where you feel like you know the level well enough and you just screw it. I'm going to try to run back and grab this and then I'll figure things out. And you'll eventually get there in Dark Souls, but you're kind of forced into it right away because if you dilly-dally, if you take your time, or God forbid if you go off and explore some other area, you're coming back to a big loss.
Right.
Yeah,
so I don't like feeling harried like that.
It's like Dark Souls did not have enough stress.
Yeah, exactly. What were you saying, David?
It sort of seems like to me, granted I played very little of this before the game crapped out on me, but it seems like kind of there's across the board with Souls-like games where it's like games that don't actually understand what made Dark Souls appealing.
At least on that level, yes. I would say overall it does a tremendous job of copying the thing. I'm not even going to say riffing on. It's copying the things that made Dark Souls good. It's interesting, David, that you said the game crashed out on you, because I had it crash on me twice in the first two bosses. Like I fought two bosses and I had the game crash on me twice. And thankfully it has not crashed again, but I was very close to just dropping it. Which I think would have been a loss.
If I remember correctly, the mouse and keyboard support is pretty abysmal.
Yeah, it's that
and
way in
I
Dark Souls as
actually
well.
haven't gotten a chance to try it with a PS4 controller yet.
Yeah, controller is definitely the way to go.
Sure. Are you doing PS4 or Xbox?
I'm doing it on PS4, and I'm trying to stream it when I'm playing. The one thing that they did, at least for me, nail was the boss fights. And you know, Dark Souls is notorious for its boss fights, and Lords of the Fallen has really good boss fights as well. There's one, the Guardian, which is the first boss fight for the second time you go into like their demon realm, if that helps you at all.
So I don't want to undercut what you're saying.
Go ahead.
I don't remember a goddamn thing about this game.
Really interesting.
Really, yeah, I don't.
So my critique of the boss fights is that they're all very generically named. Like there's the Guardian, the Champion, the Warden, the like Vanguard,
Yeah.
So it's name soup. But I've like the boss fights have ridden that difficulty curve where I can't get it the first time, but I feel like I'm quickly understanding what's going on with this boss, what the catch is, and it's never quite a gimmick, but you kind of grok it, you understand the catch to it, and then you're able to kind of triumph over it, and it rides that arc really well for me. The Guardian boss fight, which I was just mentioning, like particularly for me, felt like the Artorias boss fight.
Yeah.
And there's that same feeling of like, oh shit, I cannot I'm not having any impact. Right? I'm never going to beat this thing.
Mhm.
That quickly turns into, okay, no, I've got my feet under me. Which quickly
Which
turns
one
into
was
fuck yeah.
Artorias?
Artorias was in the DLC, like a really good one-on-one dual boss fight.
Yeah, considered to be the best fight in the series.
Mm-hmm. So they get that right, even though they don't get the names right. It probably goes without saying that like the voice acted stuff is a mistake.
You're basically playing as like heavy metal Kratos.
Yeah, it's Kratos Light. And I mean, it's Kratos Light for Dark Souls Light. What are you gonna do? And I'm not gonna get too worked up over that. But I'm enjoying my time with it. I feel like I've made consistent progress. There's never been a point of being stuck to the point of frustration. One of the areas like the catacombs is kind of a little maze like, and I did get a little lost in it, but I felt like I was actively assembling a map of the place in my mind as I went, and it never got to be annoying that I was backtracking or finding dead ends. Like they had just the right amount of confusion in it. Overall, it's a, if you want more Dark Souls, but you don't feel like going and playing a Dark Souls game, I can recommend Lords of the Fallen as a good alternative.
Yeah. I mean, all this time out, the worst thing I can say about it is that I don't remember anything about it. Like, I wish that it was a little bit more remarkable on its own terms, as opposed to being as similar to Dark Souls. Yeah, you'll have to let me know what I thought of it in the episode once you listen.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, it speaks well. I know people have been writing into Bonfireside Chat, and you guys are winding down, but I think it speaks very well of what you guys have done. That was like my primary reason for being excited about it. Is like I get more reason to listen to that show. So
that's funny.
Also, Cole, have you heard about the Surge? It's a
Jesus Christ! God damn it! I want to grab a gigantic wrench, put it around my neck, and twist my head off, so I don't have to hear about it anymore. Sorry, I didn't mean to react. I didn't mean to react so dramatically to that.
Yeah. So that's me. It's been like I said, I've had a lot of travel over the past 2 weeks.
That's summer.
Yeah. So that's but what I've playing, I feel like has been worthwhile. So that's good.
Yeah. Awesome. David, how about you?
Sure. It's been kind of another bunch of everything week. So still grinding on a lot of Guild Wars and Warframe. But kind of the big one is all of the Warhammer and Warhammer 40K games on Steam basically had a Skulls for the Skull Throne event. And so basically like pretty much all of the or at least all of the even remotely recent games in this series got updates for the event. So in Vermintide, basically what these updates consisted of is the special enemies dropping skulls that you could collect in order to get several pieces of rare loot. And then if the community collectively collected 100,000 skulls, which they did, then anyone that logs in gets a free like cosmetic item for each class. Also, kind of a little bit more weird, just because it was, I don't know, a lot of effort for a game that like has been out for a while, which is cool, but just kind of surprises. They completely redid the like the inn, which is the kind of their like staging area before you select a mission.
Okay.
To have sort of this, like, have basically skull decorations all over the place.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's mostly silly, but yeah, it's just a lot of fun. So I've really enjoyed it. Been having fun. The only thing is I never realized before, it has quite possibly the least well thought out method of handling a dropped host I have ever seen in a multiplayer game.
I'm sorry. Can you please clarify that? Did you say dropped toast or dropped host?
Host.
Okay, I was gonna say, like,
no, I mean,
did the butter side land up? Did the universe implode?
That would be I am bread.
Oh yes.
But no, basically it uses a system where they don't have any. Well, they will try to place you, I believe, on a dedicated server, but if they're unable to, they will have one of the players host, and then if that player quits the game, they then have to switch to a different host.
Okay.
However, their method of switching to a different host is to just restart the level regardless of how far along you are in it. So, like, I had a mission I was trying to beat tonight where basically just like Left 4 Dead, all of the missions are pretty much a series where you're kind of working through a sequence of areas and then like some final like standoff or challenge or something. And basically, we had just gotten to that final challenge when someone dropped and it decided to reset us.
Okay.
And then got about halfway there, at which point it happened again.
No.
So at that point, I just gave up.
Oh, of course, yeah.
But yeah, so but yeah, overall, it's fun stabbing them rats. So, which is kind of funny because actually I just got in Skritzberg in Guild Wars 2, which is kind of the home of their rat people. So it's a little bit weird going from rat people as the enemy to rat people that are nominally on my side. So.
Huh. Well, you're playing one side against the other. They don't have to know.
Oh, yeah, exactly. I mean, it's the rat way.
Of course, yeah.
So,
yeah, is that all?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Just killing more of the things, getting the loots.
Getting your skulls.
Yep, skulls for the Skull Throne.
Is that I don't understand is that a thing in Warhammer?
I assume so. But as is wont to do in Warhammer, they did not feel the need to give any context.
Oh, if you haven't read the 5 books that explain that, then you're fucked.
Yeah.
So if you've got a Warhammer, you're going to crush some skulls. It's going to happen.
All you need to know is that in the grim dark of the future, there is no peace, only war.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I know people like that lore. It is.
Yeah, it actually is really some pretty compelling lore, but it's also very it's very almost self-awarely over the top much of the time.
Yeah, that's the sense that I get. Well, I'll do mine. This shouldn't be too terribly long because even though I am free from the yoke of playing all of the Souls games over again over the course of 2 months, I used this additional time to instead play a 9-year-old game.
Which 9-year-old game?
Metal Gear Solid 4.
All right.
Which one is
right.
that?
I love your reaction, man.
Do the cutscenes hold up?
They're fine. They're dumb. They're really stupid. There's way too many of them.
Did you sit through the hour-and-a-half one at the end?
Yeah, because I like it. It's fine. I knew what it was, and you can pause it. Like, I got up the stretch and I walked around. Like, if you go into it knowing what it's going to be, and you're fine. Like, eyes wide open. You know, like I wanted something sit back. You know, to answer your question, David, 4 is the one that takes place after 2.
So are you Evil Snake?
No. You are actual like Solid Snake.
Okay.
He is suffering advanced aging, so he is Old Snake now, as opposed to being Solid Snake. And it takes place kind of like in the future, where the AI of the Patriots has kind of made everything a living hell. War is commonplace. Nanomachines are making it so that soldiers can kill with perfect efficiency, and they get rid of all those pesky little things like emotions.
But you still have an iPod.
So
yeah,
basically just like now with nanomachines.
Right. You know, again, it is like Kojima is a very keen observer of very particular things. You know, you look at this and you're like, oh, that I do not intend that to be like damnation by faint praise, but like one of the things that we came away from the Metal Gear Solid 2 Watch Out for Fireballs with is that, yeah, like there is some very well observed stuff in there. Like, it is weirdly prescient for a game that was released in 2001 to kind of have these like technological morals that are applicable even, you know, 16 years later, right?
He's a keen observer of, you know, the human condition, and sometimes boobies.
I was going to say, to be fair, also women's cleavage. But...
of very particular parts of specific humans, yeah. So it's trash. I know that. Like, I went into it, I wanted something like leaning back. I don't feel like I should have to like hedge as much, but like,
I feel like though.
I mean, the first boss fight is great in that game.
Oh my gosh, the boss fights are so good.
Yeah.
The first boss fight is great in that game.
The first boss fight is the best. I'll agree there.
Yeah.
But no, so my goal, you know, aside from wanting something to just kind of sit back and play and enjoy, was to get to Revengeance, you know, because that takes place, 3 years after 4 does? Like, it's a direct follow-on from...
And you might not be able to, understand the complex political backstory otherwise.
I mean, kinda. Like, they make a lot of... I mean, they make a lot of reference to, like, this is what the world looks like without the SOP system, without the Sons of Patriots, like, that whole, you know, battle system. It gives you a chance to, like, play as Raiden, and, like, you kind of need to understand... what he went through in 4 to like know that stuff. Like,
it actually is. Yeah.
I what I'm fighting against here is like Kojima games are about as divisive as like Bethesda open world games. That really? Like even I mean probably even more so, you know. But like if you mention Bethesda open world games, somebody's gonna fire in with like some kind of dismissive like 1-word summary of it, and like it was very interesting to go back and kind of see the entire sprawling mess of this. But, like, understanding exactly how well-engineered Metal Gear Solid 4 is as a piece of nostalgia, you know? Like, and yes, that is a very cynical ploy, but, you know, it is taking this entire saga of the series and wrapping it up for good or for ill. Mostly for ill.
So I guess I never realized that, like, people... seriously criticized it. I always, you know, took it more as like, I don't know, like if I go back and like watch, I don't know, like Starship Troopers, like I can find a lot of things to make fun of that movie for, but it's still a pretty good movie.
The movie is flawless.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good movie, but it's a bad film. You know, like
Yeah.
yeah, if that makes any sense. I don't know, like what I've come through with, you know, kind of like gauging the reaction to the Metal Gear Solid 2 episodes of WoF and playing this and talking about playing this. Like, I don't know, I feel like these games in particular get way more shit for the outrageous stuff that's in them than any other game that was not made by this one dude would get.
So,
See,
Sure.
although I wonder if some of that is just like,
How upfront he is with the fact that he is the creator of it.
well, and I was going to say also the fact that, like, if in some ways that's actually kind of a vote of confidence in that, like, no one complains about, like, I don't know, your most recent mindless first person shooter being dumb.
No, I really don't think it's a vote of confidence.
I think part of it is like Snake Eater. I think is a very accessible game because it is the furthest back in chronological history.
Yeah.
So there's not a lot of back references to the game.
Yeah, it's not carrying the weight of, you know, stuff that it has to like answer for. Right.
Yeah. Like this is like kind of like college class like dependency sort of thing where it's like to play Metal Gear Solid 4, you really need to go back and play the first 3 games in order to like get all the references of it. And I think that's kind of why Metal Gear catches flack, is like a lot of the enjoyment of the game depends on references to other games that you may or may not have played.
Yeah. It's hard as a person who has been immersed in the series for as long as I have been, you know, for, you know, over just about 20 years now, you know, to look at it from the perspective of that, you know, to look at it from outside that, right?
Yeah.
You know, I think that it is a fascinating boondoggle because they put so much production value and so much effort and so much just money into making this thing that has like as limited of an appeal as possible.
Sure.
Right. Like this has some of the most impressive audio I think I've ever heard in a game, even still to this day.
So what makes you say that though?
The surround sound and also the fact that everything is uncompressed and you can tell.
Huh.
Yeah. Like it just the audio design down to every single little detail in the in like just in the presentation of what happens in cutscenes, like positional audio related to where people are at in the screen, like in the middle of cutscenes. A bunch of stuff like that. Like it is, this is the first time that I played. So I first played this 9 years ago. It was during a summer that I didn't have a PlayStation 3, but I desperately wanted to
rented
see
it.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
you know the
I
story.
remember this.
Yeah. I rented a PlayStation 3 for a weekend and also rented the game so that I could, you know, beat it, and I had to play it as quickly as possible. So I think I, you know, played this 20-hour game over the course of a 48-hour period in order to make this happen. So like it was nice to go back and play it in roughly twice that time. You know, I breezed through it pretty quick because, you know, I was on a mission. But yeah, it was nice to like let it breathe. So like I'm motivated into this. The point I was making about nostalgia for this, though, again, it's cynical or whatever, but like this is much more of a sequel to the original Metal Gear Solid than I remember it being.
What do you mean?
Like it specifically trades on the first Metal Gear Solid and the characters and ideas presented there in a way that kind of sidesteps some of the principles that were introduced in Metal Gear Solid 2. Yes, Raiden is here. Yes, it is mostly operating as with the Patriots. You know, the idea of the Patriots as the bad guys in this. But like most of what you are doing is a direct result of, you know, Metal Gear Solid 1, and you know that's affected by the fact that you are playing as Snake. Whereas you didn't in 2. Sorry, that's a spoiler.
Going back to my love of Metal Gear Solid 3, I do like the aspect that at the beginning of the game they ask you what your favorite game is, and then tailor the opening scene dependent upon that.
Yep. Yeah. I don't know. It's hard to call it good. You know, I'm not going to go to bad. Like, and consider me like browbeaten by all the people who, you know, don't like a thing that I might actually really like. You know, it's just one of those things that again, bringing it back to stuff for WoF, like the after years that I'm kind of just going to have to ask to have. Like, can I just have this? Yeah. I don't know. It was fun. It was definitely fun, and I'm very excited. I played like the first mission of Revengeance, but I'm not ready to talk about that in generalities just yet. I would like to get a little bit more under my belt, but man, that is a cool, bonkers, but very hard game.
We should talk about the camo in Metal Gear Solid 4.
Oh,
because
it's so good.
It's amazing, right?
It's so good. Yeah.
It's like perfectly dynamic to whatever situation you're in. That's such a feat.
Yeah, and like there's so many good systems in this that like I wish that they were able to shine through more. You know, everybody's like, lol, you just watch this game. Like, that's actually a crying goddamn shame, because when the game lets you play it and doesn't just act like it's Tom Clancy's Deadly Premonition, it's really good. Like this. So this camo, like you're wearing this. It's called Octo Camo, and it works like octopus camouflage. If you
reference to the first boss,
of course. If you lay down on a surface, or if you press up against a surface, the surface. Sorry, I'm saying that word so much. Your armor will match kind of the color and the vague pattern of whatever you're up against. So instead of, like in Metal Gear Solid 3, going around and like jumping into the menus to put on whatever kind of camo best suits the situation, no, it's just like you walk up to whatever you want to disguise against, and then you disguise against it, and then carry that forward with you until the next time you like reset it.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like it gives you like a percentage view on the fly as you as you're going, like of how how exposed you are, and it's there's so many things that factor into it. Your movement, whether you're standing up, sitting down, the level of shadow, your camo, all of that. And that is really important, because most of the time, for a good deal of the game, at least the first 2 chapters, which are definitely the highlight, specifically the second chapter, oh my god, you are doing this stealth in an active battlefield. The first chapter is this, you're fighting through a Middle Eastern city, and like, hiding amongst the rubble as different factions are working against each other. The second chapter, which is in South America, it's a little bit closer to like a Snake Eater kind of thing. Where you're hiding in the wilderness, but specifically you are like sneaking in amongst this kind of squad of kind of insurrectionists, like these rebel factions that are taking out a private military, like a mercenary company run by the Patriots, not by the Patriots, but run by the bad guy of the game, by Liquid. And so if you end up helping this rebel squad from a distance, they'll understand, and then like you win them over the course of this battle until they're like throwing you items and giving you cover fire and like distracting people for you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Good.
So what I want. Go ahead, Ben.
I want to mention also, to move on towards the end of the game, this has one of the best boss battles at the end of the game, and one of the best like moments of exhaustion in a game.
Yeah, I don't want to. I mean, it's a very old game, but I don't want to explain exactly what it is, because it would sound farcical if I described literally what was happening.
I'll spoil the boss battle a little bit. The part where he kisses you on the cheek. Yeah, that is like vividly etched into my memory to this day. Yeah. But
it's it's very it's notable, there is a poignancy to that. Again, that will only resonate in this multi-million-dollar media product if you have played everything before this.
You need to have 4 games before this game in order to achieve something like that. So
Cole, maybe if you can't say that it is a good game, maybe you can at least say it is very certainly a labor of love.
Oh, sir. I mean, not even that, because Kojima hated making it.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. He didn't want to make Metal Gear Solid 4 at all.
Oh, sorry, Kojima.
Yeah.
This is one of the last entries of his servitude.
I mean, like about 7 years later, he would go on to make the best game he's ever made, Metal Gear Solid 5.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah. Also PT. Yeah. There's one other system I want to talk about, because you can, you have the ability to buy items and then also sell the surplus. Like if you pick up an item you already have, you're going to sell it to this arms dealer who's following you around. Your little robot friend grabs it. Yeah, Drebin.
Let's talk about Drebin.
Drebin's a good character. I like Drebin.
All right.
No,
I don't know
fine.
how I feel about Drebin still to this day.
He's like a Lucifer figure. He does magic and he has monkey.
All right, all right, I'll accept that.
What's that?
I'll accept that. Yeah.
Yeah. What I'm realizing is my standard must be incredibly low. But no, they've got this whole system built in that's a little bit like the Dishonored system. Sorry, David, where because the entire game is built around this idea of the war economy. What's happening is as people are doing more fighting, the cost of weapons goes up. Okay, so if you are sowing chaos and going around and shooting at everybody, the mercenaries that you're fighting are going to be buying more weapons, and so you're going to sell your stuff for higher, but you're also going to spend more money to get like ammo and stuff. Yeah. But you can keep those prices low by doing your by going through and sneaking, and if you need to prepare for a boss battle, that's a way for you to like cash in because you've been saving everything up as you've gone.
So can you just like make deals with the arms dealers to like, cause insurrection, and then they'll give you a cut?
No, you're the walking insurrection.
And 3 murders.
no,
it sounds like it's like BioShock, where either choice it doesn't make a difference. Whatever you choose, you still get the same amount at the end.
Well, like what it does is it just matches itself to the way you play.
Mm-hmm.
But just I love the idea of the state of the world being reflected in the systems of the game, right?
Mm-hmm.
As a function of your actions. Yeah.
Although I have to say, in our present world, this just sounds like an incredibly depressing series.
It very much is. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I'm having a good time with it.
Are any of the older Metal Gear Solid or whatever games available on PC?
No, I think that you just have Ground Zeroes, Phantom Pain, and Revengeance.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, that's what I've been playing. I'll talk about Revengeance probably next week.
Cool.
Awesome. Well, any other questions about Metal Gear Solid 4? Guns of the Patriots? Sounds like not, so let's button it up.
The credit.
Can we intersperse like Jala's buttons soundbite in here?
I would need to see which episodes I still have on my computer to go through and do that.
I would like to point out that in the Slack we got to vote for zippers.
That was a sock puppet account. That's one you made. Come on, man. Cool. So thank you everybody for listening. Once again, this weekend is Jolade. Go over to twitch.tv/Jalachan and also check out her GoFundMe should be linked there. Watch some streaming events and help raise some money for her medical bills. And thank you so much to everybody who has given so generously so far. For this show, the usual stuff, ratings or reviews and Apple Podcasts, facebook.com/The Level Podcast, all of that good stuff, and telling your friends. Guys, am I missing anything?
What's your Steam name?
Well, let's do that as we go. So, just like always, I will say something and you guys will mimic it. I have been Kole Ross, at Kole Ross on Twitter, and Song for the Deaf on Steam.
There you go. I've been Dennis Furia at DFuria on Twitter and Green Laser on Steam, PlayStation, and pretty much everywhere.
I have no idea what I am on Steam.
Who are you,
777?
Okay. I am David Moneysmith. I don't actually post on Twitter, but I am Revenant777 on Steam.
Ben?
I am Ben Merkel, at Merkelizer on Twitter, and at Merkelizer on Steam, just to be more helpful.
Yeah.
One name.
Is that really what I come up as?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. And stick around for some titles. Oakley Dokley, what do you guys got?
I got a
one
wealth of them.
moment.
Dennis, go.
All right, so I've got Optimum Math
Okay.
and the Hilbert difference, which is from the same conversation.
Okay.
Actually, that's the Hilbert difference. You need to write an inflection there.
Yeah.
Their Jeep game is on fleek.
Veto.
The Anti-Steinbeck.
I also had the Anti-Steinbeck.
Okay.
And then Apologies with PAW.
Oh, God. I forgot about that.
Cue the groans.
So in addition to the Anti-Steinbeck, I had Band of Theseus,
I had the Band of Theseus as well.
Auxiliary Love Interest. I Was Born Old. A Little Bothersome for Me. I felt like Neo when I punched that monkey. And Bullseye.
Is that Bullseye?
Except spelled as though you have a mouthful of drill.
Bullseye.
Bullseye. Okay. Ben, how about you?
Got nothing.
All right. I only have the Band of Theseus. I kind of like the Hilbert difference. I know that doesn't win by vote.
It definitely fits within our usual title game. Yeah.
It's not bad. The Anti-Steinbeck, I think, is in the same league as the Hilbert difference.
Anti-Steinbeck is also very good.
Yeah, if that one has the votes, then we should go with that.
I would hold that one up.
Yeah, I trust the ones that lots of us make, despite the fact that I just tried to make the Anti-Steinbeck not win.
I mean, well, how do you feel about it, Cole? I feel like Anti-Steinbeck might be a little bit better than Hilbert.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
I'd go with Anti-Steinbeck.
My reservation comes from the fact that we've done a lot of titles like that on TDRK recently.
Oh.
That doesn't affect this show. Like we've done the Reverse Home Alone and Involuntary Uber, just like adjective thing, like just like subverting it. But that is not a problem. Like these are different shows, and nobody listens to that anyway. So
what's the Anti-Home Alone, by the way?
Oh, the Reverse Home Alone. I believe that's oh my gosh, I forget. I think that's where you invite the robbers in and tell them to live in your house. Oh. I can't remember. That show's a blur to me.
Is that called having friends?
Maybe. Oh man. Cool. Well, I'm gonna go. Yeah. I'm gonna get this edited and uploaded.
Yeah, dude, you're a hero for doing that on such a fast turnaround.
Hey, it's a rhythm. I'm like home this week, so it's not actually that big of a deal.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. All right.
Oh,
Oh yes.